Benediction. When by the changeless power of a supreme decree the poet issues forth upon this sorry sphere, his mother, horrified and full of blasphemy, uplifts her voice to God, who takes compassion on her. Ah, why did I not bear a serpent's nest entire, instead of bringing forth this hideous child of doom? O cursed be that transient night of vain desire, when I conceived my expiation in my womb. Yet since among all women thou hast chosen me to be the degradation of my jaded mate, and since I cannot, like a love-leaf wantonly, consign this stunted monster to the glowing grate, I'll cause thine overwhelming hatred to rebound upon the cursed tool of thy most wicked spite. Forsooth, the branches of this wretched tree I'll wound, and rob its pestilential blossoms of their might. So thus she giveth vent unto her foaming ire, and knowing not the changeless statutes of all times, herself amid the flames of hell prepares the pyre, the consecrated penance of maternal crimes. Yet fieth the invisible shelter of an angel's wing, this sunlight-loving infant disinherited exhales from all he eats and drinks and everything the ever-sweet ambrosia and the nectar red. I'll cause thine overwhelming hatred to rebound upon the cursed tool of thy most wicked spite. Forsooth, the branches of this wretched tree I'll wound, and rob its pestilential blossoms of their might. So thus she giveth vent unto her foaming ire, and knowing not the changeless statutes of all times, herself amid the flames of hell prepares the pyre, the consecrated penance of maternal crimes. Yet fieth the invisible shelter of an angel's wing, this sunlight-loving infant disinherited exhales from all he eats and drinks and everything the ever-sweet ambrosia and the nectar red. He trifles with the winds and with the clouds that glide about the way unto the cross. He loves to sing, the spirit on his pilgrimage. That faithful guide oft weeps to see him joyful like a bird of spring. All those that he would cherish shrink from him with fear, and some that waxen bold by his tranquillity endeavour hard some grievance from his heart to tear, and make on him the trial of their ferocity. Within the bread and wine outspread for his repast, to mingle dust and dirty spittle they essay, and everything he touches forth they slyly cast, or scourge themselves, if e'er their feet betrod his way. His wife goes round proclaiming in the crowded quads, quote, "Since he can find my body beauteous to behold, why not perform the office of those ancient gods, and like unto them redeck myself with shining gold?" His wife goes round proclaiming in the crowded quads, "Since he can find my body beauteous to behold, why not perform the office of those ancient gods, and like unto them redeck myself with shining gold? I'll bathe myself with incense, spikenard, and myrrh, with genuflections, delicate viands, and wine, to see and jest if from a heart that loves me dear I cannot filch away the homages divine. And when all of these impious jokes at length I tire, my frail but mighty hands, around his breast entwined with nails like Harpies' nails, shall cunningly conspire the hidden path unto his feeble heart to find. And like a youngling bird that trembles in its nest, I'll pluck his heart right out, within its own blood drowned, and finally to satiate my favourite beast, I'll throw it with intense disdain upon the ground. Towards the heavens where he sees the sacred grail, the poet calmly stretches forth his pious arms, wherein the lightnings From his lucid spirit veil the sight of the infuriated mob that swarms. O blessed be thou, Almighty, who bestowest pain like some divine redress for our infirmities, and like the most refreshing and the purest rain to sanctify the strong for saintly ecstasies. I know that for the poet thou wilt grant a chair among the sainted legion and the blissful ones, that of the endless feast thou wilt accord his share, to him of virtues, dominations, and of thrones. I know that sorrow is that nobleness alone which never may corrupted be by hell nor curse. I know in order to enwreathe my mystic crown I must inspire the ages and the universe. And yet the buried jewels of Palmyra old, the undiscovered metals in the pearly sea of gems, that unto me you show could never hold beside this diadem of blinding brilliancy. For it shall be engendered from the purest fire of rays primeval, from the holy hearth amassed, of which the eyes of mortals, in their sheen entire, are but the tarnished mirrors, sad and overcast. Echoes. In nature's temple living columns rise, which oftentimes give tongue to words subdued, and man traverses this symbolic wood, which looks at him with half-familiar eyes, like lingering echoes which afar confound themselves in deep and somber unity, as vast as night, and like transplendency the scents and colors to each other respond. And scents there are, like infants' flesh is chaste, as sweet as oboes, and as meadows fair, and others proud, corrupted, rich, and vast, which have the expansion of infinity, like amber, musk, and frankincense, and myrrh, that sing the soul's and senses' ecstasy. The Sick Muse. Alas, my poor muse, what aileth thee now? Thine eyes are bedimmed with the visions of night, and silent and cold I perceive on thy brow, in their turns, despair and madness alight. A succubus green or a hobgoblin red has it poured o'er thee horror and love from its urn, or the nightmare with masterful bearing hath led thee to drown in the depths of some magic Minturn. I wish, as the health-giving fragrance I cull, that thy breast with strong thoughts could forever be full, and that rhythmically flowing thy Christian blood could resemble the olden time metrical flood, where each in his turn reigned the father of rhymes, Phoebus and Pan, lord of harvest times. The Venal Muse. O muse of my heart, so fond of palaces old, wilt have when New Year speeds its wintry blast amid those tedious nights with snow o'ercast, a log to warm thy feet benumbed with cold. Wilt thou thy marbled shoulders then revive with nightly rays that through thy shutters peep, and void thy purse and void thy palace reap a golden hoard with some azure hive? A golden hoard within some azure hive. Thou must, to earn thy daily bread, each night suspend the censer like an acolyte, Te Deums sing with sanctimonious ease. Or, as a famished mountebank with jokes obscene, easy to lull the vulgar rabble's spleen, thy laughter soaked in tears which no one sees. The Evil Monk. The cloisters old expounded on their walls with paintings the beatic verity, the which adorning their religious halls enriched the frigidness of their austerity. In days when Christian seeds bloomed o'er the land, full many a noble monk unknown to-day upon the field of tombs would take his stand, exalting death in rude and simple way. My soul is a tomb where, bad monk that I be, I dwell and search its depths from all eternity. and not bedecks the walls of the odious spot. O sluggard monk, when shall I glean aright from the living spectacle of my bitter lot, to mould my handiwork and mine eyes' delight? The enemy. My childhood was naught but a ravaging storm, enlivened at times by a brilliant sun. The rain and the winds wrought such havoc and harm, that of buds on my plot there remains hardly one. Behold now the fall of ideas I have reached, and the shovel and rake one must therefore resume, in collecting the turf, inundated and breached, where the waters dug trenches as deep as a tomb. And yet these new blossoms for which I craved, will they find in this earth, like a shore that is laved, the mystical fuel which vigor imparts? Oh, misery! Time devours our lives. And the enemy black, which consumeth our hearts, on the blood of our bodies increases and thrives. Man in the Sea. Free man, the sea is to thee ever dear. The sea is thy mirror, thou regardest thy soul in its mightiest waves that unendingly roll, and thy spirit is yet not a chasm less drear. Thou delightest to plunge deep in thine image down, thou takest it with eyes and with arms and embrace, and at times thine own inward voice wouldst efface with the sound of its savage ungovernable moan. You are both of you sombre, secretive, and deep. O mortal, thy depths are foray unexplored. O sea, no one knoweth thy dazzling hoard. You both are so jealous, your secrets to keep. And endless ages have wandered by, yet still without pity or mercy you fight, so mighty in plunder and death your delight. O wrestlers, so constant in enmity. Beauty. I am lovely, O mortals, like a dream of stone, and my bosom, where each one gets bruised in turn, to inspire the love of a poet is prone, like matter eternally silent and stern. As an unfathomed sphinx enthroned by the Nile, my heart a swan's whiteness with granite combines, and I hate every movement displacing the lines, and never I weep and never I smile. The poets in front of mine attitudes fine, which the proudest of monuments seem to implant, to studies profound all their moments assign, for I have all these docile swains to enchant. Two mirrors which beauty in all things ignite, mine eyes, my large eyes, of eternal light. The ideal. It could ne'er be those beauties of ivory vignettes, the varied display of a worthless age, nor puppet-like figures with castonks that ever an heart like mine could engage. I leave to Gavarni, that poet of Chlorosis, his hospital beauties in troops that whirl, for I cannot discover amid his pale roses a flower to resemble my scarlet ideal. Since what for this fathomless heart I required is Lady Macbeth, you, in crime so dire, an Aeschylus dream transposed from the south, or thee, O great knight of Michelangelo born, who so calmly thy limbs in strange posture hath drawn, whose allurements are framed for a Titan's mouth. The Giantess. I should have loved erewhile when heaven conceived each day some child abnormal and obscene, beside a maiden giantess to have lived like a luxurious cat at the feet of a queen. To see her body flowering with her soul, and grow unchained in awe-inspiring art, within the mists across her eyes that stole, to divine the fires entombed within her heart, and oft to scramble o'er her mighty limbs, and climb the slopes of her enormous knees, or in summer, when the scorching sunlight streams across the country to recline at ease, and slumber in the shadow of her breast, like an Hamlet 'neath the mountain crest. Hymn to Beauty. O Beauty, dost thou generate from heaven or from hell? Within thy glance, so diabolic and divine, confusedly both wickedness and goodness dwell, and hence one might compare thee unto sparkling wine. Thy look containeth both the dawn and sunset stars, thy perfumes, as upon a sultry night exhale, thy kiss a philter, and thy mouth a Grecian vase, that renders heroes cowardly and infants hale. Yea, art thou from the planets, or the fiery womb? The demon follows in thy train with magic fraught. Thou scatterest seeds haphazardly of joy and doom. Thou governest everything, but answerest unto naught. O loveliness, thou spurnest corpses with delight. Among thy jewels horror hath such charms for thee, and murder mid thy mostly cherished trinklets bright upon thy massive bosom dances amorously. The blinded fluttering moth towards the candle flies, then frizzles, falls, and falters. Blessings unto thee! The panting swain that o'er his beauteous mistress sighs seems like the sick that stroke their gravestones lovingly. What matter if thou comest from the heavens or hell? O beauty, frightful ghoul, ingenious and obscure! So long thine eyes, thy smile, to me the way can tell towards that infinite love, but never saw. Towards that infinite I love, but never saw. From God or Satan, angel, mermaid, Proserpine. From God or Satan, angel, mermaid, Proserpine. What matter if thou makest blithe, voluptuous sprite, with rhythms, perfumes, visions, O mine only queen, the universe less hideous, and the hours less trite. Exotic perfume. When with closed eyes on a hot afternoon the scent of thine ardent breast I inhale, celestial vistas my spirit assail, caressed by the flames of an endless sun. A languorous island where nature abounds with exotic trees and luscious fruit, and with men whose bodies are slim and astute, and with women whose frankness delights and astounds. By thy perfume enticed to this region remote, a port I see, laden with mast and with boat, still wearied and torn by the distant brine. While the tamarisk odors that dreamily throng the air round my slumberous senses entwine, and mix in my soul with the mariner's song. Le Chevelure. La Chevelure. La Chevelure. O fleece that foams down unto the shoulders bare, O curls, O scents which lovely languidness exhale, delight I to fill this alcove's sombre atmosphere with memories, sleeping deep within this tress of hair, I'll wave it in the evening breezes like a veil. The shores of Africa and Asia's burning skies, a world forgotten, distant, nearly dead and spent, within thy depths, O aromatic forest, lies, and like the spirits floating unto melodies, mine own beloved glides within thy sacred scent. There I will hasten, where the trees and humankind with languor lull, beside the hot and silent sea. Strong tresses bear me, be to me the waves and wind. Within thy fragrance lies a dazzling dream confined, of sails and masts and flames, O lake of ebony. A loudly echoing harbour where my soul may hold to quaff the silver cup of colours, scents and sounds, wherein the vessel glide upon a sea of gold, and stretch their wherein the vessels glide upon a sea of gold, and stretch their mighty arms, the glory to unfold of virgin skies where never-ending heat abounds. I'll plunge my brow enamoured with voluptuousness within this darkling ocean of infinitude, until my subtle spirit, which thy waves caress, shall find you once again, O fertile weariness, unending lullaby of perfumed lassitude. Ye tresses blue recess of strange and sombre shades, ye make the azure of the starry realm immense. Upon the downy beaches by your curls' cascades, among your mingling fragrances, my spirit wades to cull the musk and cocoa-nut and lotus scents. Long foray my hand within thy heavy mane shall scatter rubies, pearls, sapphires eternally, and thus my soul's desire for thee shall never wane. For art not thou the oasis where I dream and drain, with draughts profound, the golden wine of memory? Sonnet 26. With pearly robes that wave within the wind, even when she walks she seems to dance, like swaying serpents round those wands entwined, which fakirs wear in rhythmic elegance. So, like the desert's blue and the sands remote, both deaf to mortal suffering and to strife, or like the seaweeds 'neath the waves that float indifferently, she moulds her budding life. Her polished eyes are made of minerals bright, and in her mien, symbolical and cold, wherein an angel mingles with the sphinx of old. Where all is gold and steel and gems and light, there shines, just like a useless star, eternally, the sterile woman's frigid majesty. Posthumous Remorse. Ah, when thou shalt slumber, my darkling love, beneath a black marble-made statuette, and when thou'lt have naught for thy house or alcove but a cavernous den and a damp oubliette, when the tombstone oppressing thy timorous breast, and thy hips drooping sweetly with listless decay, the pulse and desires of mine heart shall rest, and thy feet from pursuing their adventurous way, then the grave, that dark friend of my limitless dreams, for the grave ever readeth, the poet aright, amid those long nights which no slumber redeems. 'Twill query, what use to thee, incomplete sprite, that thou nearst hast unfathomed the tears of the dead? Then the worms will gnaw deep at thy body like dread. The Balcony. O mother of memories, mistress of mistresses, O thou all my pleasures, O thou all my prayers, canst thou remember those luscious caresses, the charm of the hearth and the sweet evening airs? O mother of memory, mistress of mistresses, those evenings illumed by the glow of the coal, and those roseate nights with their vaporous wings, how calm was thy breast, and how good was thy soul! 'Twas then we uttered imperishable things, those evenings illumed by the glow of the coal. How lovely the suns on those hot autumn nights! How vast were the heavens, and the heart how hale, as I leaned toward you! Oh, my queen of delights, the scent of thy blood I seemed to inhale. How lovely the sun on those hot autumn nights! The shadows of night-time grew dense like a pall, and deep through the darkness thine eyes I divined. And I drank of thy breath, O sweetness, O gall, and thy feet in my brotherly hands reclined. The shadows of nighttime grew dense like a pall. I know how to call forth those moments so dear, and to live my past laid on thy knees once more. For where should I seek for thy beauties but here, in thy languorous heart, and thy body so pure? I know how to call forth those moments so dear. Those perfumes, those infinite kisses and sighs, are they born in some gulf to our plummets denied? Like rejuvenate suns that mount up to the skies, that first have been cleansed in the depth of the tide. O perfumes, O infinite kisses and sighs! The Possessed One. The sun is enveloped in crape. I like it. The Possessed One. The sun is enveloped in crape. Like it, moon of my life, wrap thyself up in shade at will. The Possessed One. The sun is enveloped in crape. Moon of my life, wrap thyself up in shade. At will, smoke or slumber, be silent, be stayed, and dive deep down in dispassion's dark pit. Cherish thee thus, but if 'tis thy mood, like a star that from out its penumbra appears, to float in the regions where madness careers, fair dagger, burst forth from thy sheath. 'Tis good, yea, light up thine eyes at the fire of renown, or kindle desire by the looks of some clown. Thine all is my joy, whether dull or aflame. Just be what thou will, black night, dawn divine, there is not a nerve in my trembling frame but cries, I adore thee, Beelzebub mine. Semper Eadem. From whence it comes, you ask, this gloom acute, like waves that o'er the rocky headland fall, when once our hearts have gathered in their fruit, to live is a curse, a secret known to all. A grief quite simple, naught mysterious, and like your joy for all, both loud and shrill, nay, cease to clamour, but not o'er so curious, and yet although your voice is sweet, be still, O soul with rapture ever rife, O mouth with the childish smile. Far more than life, the subtle bonds of death around us twine. Let my heart the wine of falsehood drink, and dream-like deep within your fair eyes sink, and in the shade of thy lashes long recline. All entire. The demon in my lofty vault this morning came to visit me, and striving me to find at fault, he said, fain would I know of thee, among the many beauteous things, all which a subtle grace proclaim, among the dark and rosy things, which go to make her charming frame. Which is the sweetest unto thee, my soul? To him thou didst retort, since all with her is destiny, of preference there can be naught. When all transports me with delight, if aught deludes I cannot know, she either lulls one like the night, or dazzles like the morning glow. That harmony is too divine, which governs all her body fair, for powerless mortals to define in notes the many concords there. O mystic metamorphosis of all my senses blent in one, her voice a beauteous perfume is, her breath makes music, chaste and wan. Sonnet 43. What sayest thou to-night, poor soul so drear? What sayest, heart erewhile engulfed in gloom, to the very lovely, very chaste, and very dear, whose god-like look hath made thee to rebloom? To her with pride we chant an echoing hymn, for naught can touch the sweetness of her sway. Her flesh ethereal as the seraphim, her eyes with robe of light our souls array. And be it in the night or solitude, among the trees or mid the multitude, her shadow, torch-like, dances in the air, and murmurs, I, the beautiful, proclaim that for my sake alone ye love the fair. I am the guardian angel, muse and dame. The living torch. They stand before me now, whose eyes that shine, no doubt inspired by an angel wise. They stand, those godlike brothers that are mine, and pour their diamond fires in my eyes. From all transgressions, from all snares they save, towards the path of joy they guide my ways. They are my servants, and I am their slave, and all my soul this living torch obeys. Ye charming eyes, ye have those mystic beams of candles, burning in full day. The sun awakes, yet kills not their fantastic gleams. Ye sing the awakening, they the dark oblivion. The awakening of my spirit ye proclaim. O stars, no sun could ever kill your flame. The spiritual dawn. When the morning white and rosy breaks with the gnawing ideal upon the debauchee, by the power of a strange decree, within the sotted beast an angel wakes. The mental heavens inaccessible blue for wearied mortals that still dream and mourn, expands and sinks towards the chasm drawn. Thus, cherished goddess, being pure and true, upon the rests of foolish orgy nights, thine image more sublime, more pink, more clear, before my staring eyes is ever there. The sun has darkened all the candle lights, and thus thy spectre, like the immortal sun, is ever victorious, thou resplendent one.